Hello and welcome to the Michael Mamas Show, Ancient Secrets Revealed. I'm your host, Michael Mamas, and we're coming to you from Mount Soma, home of the Sri Someshwara Temple in the mountains of western North Carolina. Today's topic, I was originally thinking to just call it the anatomy of the stupid, but that sounded kind of harsh and it wasn't my intention really, but I don't think we take the time enough to really take a look at how we function, how the human mind functions, and what constitutes stupid, what constitutes smart, intelligent, wise. What are those things? How do we distinguish between them? And so, in thinking about it, the first thing I would say was that everybody is a genius. Everybody is brilliant at the depth of their being. Why? Because we're one with a unified field, with Chaitanya, that one thing that's the source of everything, that self-interacting dynamic that creates this field of perfection that we are in our essence. And so we can just go through the list. What does it mean to be stupid? You still there, Scotty?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So what does it mean to be stupid? Well, in some cases, and this is a rarer case, there's just a physiological brain damage kind of thing. And so the brain's just not functioning. And so even though those people in their essence are still divine, their minds just don't work. They're just stupid unless that physiological problem with the brain can be healed. But then the next one is very interesting, I think. What does it mean to be smart? You see, with people, they long to understand and they long to feel some identity, some connection with something. And so that's where we create these models, these notions, these paradigms. And so depending on the degree to which you can align with a given paradigm, a common paradigm in this world is just scientific logic, okay, as an example. We could even throw another term in there. It sounds terrible, but I think we need to understand the physiology of the whole thing. And so one thing would be just dumb. Somebody is just dumb. And dumb means that they're just incapable of aligning with even the paradigm with which they identify. They just can't coherently function in accord with it. They're just dumb.
No, Michael, are you talking about aligning with paradigms that are like in harmony with nature's law?
No, not right now.
Okay,
I mean,
I meant
it would include
when you're talking
that.
about these paradigms, smart. There's some are smart, some are not smart, right?
Well, let me get to smart.
Okay.
But it would align. Some paradigms are in harmony with nature, others aren't.
Right.
But stupid really is just aligning with any one paradigm. And that's what people do just because they need something to hang their hat on. They need a perspective. And just there are all kinds of examples. Even the understanding of physics, modern physics. I mean, and what does it mean to be a really great physicist or a really great mathematician? That means they're smart. And what smart means, you see, is identifying with a paradigm, aligning with a paradigm with clarity. And those people are called smart. People that are aligned with a paradigm, but they don't have that same degree of clarity, but they have some good sense of it. It's still stupid. Stupid is what justifies a lot of wars, and stupid is what creates polarization between people, because somebody aligns with one paradigm, somebody else aligns with another. And even if they're really smart, it polarizes. But most most people aren't really smart, because smart is a relative term. So they're just relatively effective in their alignment with the paradigm of their choice. And this includes also religion, science, philosophy, politics, you name it. There are all these different paradigms. And people tend to hang their hat on one or the other. And dumb means that people are just so poorly aligned with the paradigm of their choice, they can't really think coherently at all. And they're just dumb. It sounds terrible. I don't mean to, but okay. So we got dumb, we got stupid, and we got smart. Now, smart is a kind of a pet peeve of mine. I remember when I was in professional school, they make you memorize all kinds of medical terms. It's all just monkey see, monkey do, you know. You memorize. In medical school, you just memorize names and Latin terms for muscles and things like that. And so they consider the smart professional student in those instances is somebody who's just willing to memorize really useless things. I know in vet school that my favorite analogy with that, my favorite example of that is, you know, having to memorize the Latin names for parasites of chickens in Africa. I mean, the people that are willing to jump through all those hoops and do all that are the ones that are considered smart in professional schools. So what's the difference you see between smart and intelligent? The underlying, as we've talked about before, the underlying basis of existence, I went into this in the last podcast, the unified field, the transcendent, Chaitanya, different words for the same thing. It's a field of pure intelligence, infinite intelligence. The intelligence that's there in the structure of the underlying basis of existence. You know, and consciousness becomes conscious of itself, perceived as other. This whole geometric structure is formed. You can see all these different patterns in it. Unbelievable, infinite intelligence, field of all possibilities. And so someone who's intelligent isn't just smart, but they have access to and can function from the paradigm that best serves the moment, the paradigm that is in harmony with nature now, but isn't something that they're just habitually functioning through, identified with in a very limited way of people that are dumb, stupid, or smart, even smart, but in a way that where they're free from the chains of a particular worldview. And it's in there when a person is really intelligent there. And I'm not just meaning now intellectually intelligent, but there's an intelligence inherent in the spontaneity of a really evolved individual. They align then spontaneously in accord with the paradigm, the viewpoint that best serves the moment. And see, it becomes then a feeling thing. Wisdom isn't just intelligent. You can be intelligent, but not be wise. Wisdom means spontaneously aligning, functioning in accord with the paradigm that best serves the moment. And there's a humility to that. See, because now we're entering into how do you access it? It's a feeling thing. Particularly when you're working with other people, it's a feeling thing. I like to say people think they think their way through lives, but they don't. They feel their way through lives. Any paradigm, it's not about, for the wise, it's not about aligning with the paradigm. It's how does it feel? Does it feel like it is in accord with the moment? Most life-supporting in the moment, most evolutionary in the moment. And there's a humility there. It's not a overstanding, like I say, it's an understanding. You stand under. There's a humility built into real wisdom. And the world right now, See, stupidity is a pandemic, isn't it? It's highly, highly, highly contagious pandemic. Why? Because people they want to have somewhere to hang their hat, and paradigms are appealing and they are of value. Look at the paradigm of physics and science and engineering. Clump all those together, and you've got, airplanes and televisions and computers and the whole thing. And so there are all these different there's religious paradigms, and there's just different degrees of understanding of each one of those paradigms, ranging from dumb to stupid to smart to intelligent to wise. You see, wars are stupid. Now, we could say they're elicited at least by something stupid. Invasions, aggressions, bigotry, hatred, assaults on other people. That's stupid. But now, if you are being attacked, at times you just have to defend yourself. You have to protect other people, things like that. And so I don't go along completely with this thing. It takes two to tango. Because if there's a stupid aggression going on, then you have to find a way, and hopefully the wisest way, the most intelligent way to protect yourself from that. And in some cases, it may well be war. But I think in most cases, the truly wise can do it other ways. But I think it's a value, like even in the Mahabharata, Lord Krishna, he didn't actually bear arms, but he supported one side, So we do the best we can. But I think it's important to distinguish, if you get nothing else from this podcast, to distinguish between dumb, stupid, smart, intelligent, and wise. They're all different things. Okay? Why do drugs make people stupid? Well, for one, obvious things, it numbs up the brain and stuff like that. But to say it more specifically, it creates clarity trips. They're trips because they're not necessarily aligned with reality. They're ideologies, that ice cream cones in the sky. That's why I have a pet peeve with what was it, John Lennon's Imagine. I mean, in one sense, it's beautiful and stuff, but imagine there's no heaven, or whatever, no hell above you, only sky. I mean, it's just not the way the world works. And drug cultures tend to create then bogus ideologies. And you see it a lot in politics today. I mean, let's face it. Just look at the statistics. I mean, per capita, the amount of drugs that the average American does is outrageous, not to mention alcohol. And what does that do? It creates a drug mentality. It creates a clarity trip of, this is how I feel, or this is what I think, or this is the group identity that I cling to. And therefore, if everybody thought this way, the world would be fine. Well, everyone will never think that way because it's not the way the world works. Okay. And so, the whole fentanyl thing, the best way to overtake another nation is infest it with drugs, make everybody in the country stupid. Making sense, Scotty?
Sure.
Okay. I want to talk about the Bible Belt too. We're in Western North Carolina here. A lot of people call this area the Bible Belt, even though towns like Asheville now have been so infiltrated, if you will. A lot of people moving from north or California or whatever. So it's becoming more and more progressive. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm really talking about is the group mentality of the Bible Belt. And like everything is a mandala. There's the best and the worst. But one thing I've really appreciated about the Bible Belt is a lot of the people you just meet. I meet them at the checkout line in the grocery store or wherever. But there's a humility there inherent in the way these people are. It's just a purity and basically a fundamental respect, just a basic respect for you could say traditional values that are propagated by the Bible, in the church, and it's a beautiful thing. There's the other extreme, of course, the other end of the mandala. Everything has two extremes to it. And, those things are good. That's kind of a crude, or, you could talk about that, but that's not even what I feel like addressing, because those generalizations are based on polarization largely, not exclusively, but largely. So any culture, let's generalize it beyond, the Bible Belt Christianity type thing, but let's generalize it. It applies to anything you feel polarized from. We tend to look at the low end of the mandala of things that we feel foreign to us. And then we generalize that entire mandala, that whole world, through the eyes of looking at the negative component, the low end of the mandala. And everything has both ends of the spectrum. It's just the nature of existence. But wisdom sees the full mandala. It has ability, intelligence, and then wisdom has the ability to access the full range. And then it becomes a dynamic where you, instead of, being a detriment to life, a degradation of life, you feed life, you support life. And that way you see the beauty in each culture. And instead of on the darkness, you enliven the divinity, the beauty of it. And then it radiates more and more fully and becomes then more and more wise. Does that make sense, Scotty?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only place I see that in modern culture today, I used to say, is, in Disneyland, they have that ride. It's called A Small World, and you go on this little ride through different areas, and it shows different cultures, and it's a small world after all. And every culture then is lauded and praised for the positive component of that mandala. You see, it's so important. Of course, media. It doesn't really largely provide the news, but it provides an ideology, a slant, a perspective. So it's, in that sense, it's kind of stupid, and they're good at it. A lot of people there are really good at it because they're smart. But it's detrimental when it polarizes, We don't want to oversee things. We want to understand things. The word's not overstanding, it's understanding, as I like to say. Okay? And that's essentially it, what I want to say. Scotty, any comments or questions about it before we go on?
Just, what can people do to make sure that they're,
Great question. It's a great question. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. And even that answer, it's, we talk about transgradient. On one level, looking in the mirror means meditation, proper meditation, where you allow the awareness to rest into that transcendental field of pure isness, pure intelligence. Intelligence before it even emerges into intelligent perspectives, you see. And so we rest into the divinity within our being, the pure intelligence within our being. It's proper meditation does that. And so that's looking in the mirror on the deepest level. But there are more superficial levels. Look, one step more superficial would be your feelings, your emotions. When you're around people of a different culture, do you feel polarized? Now, to some degree, that's just cultural integrity. We birds of a feather flock together. It's natural, it's healthy, you feed your own culture. But if it becomes too extremely polarized, that's good, then it becomes racism, prejudice, bias, not good, you see? And then on the more, even a more surface level of life, it becomes just our thoughts, the ideologies, the paradigms, the perspectives that we cling to and hang our hat on in the name of what we call truth. And then because it's highly contagious, we tend to either cling to a particular news broadcaster or a group of friends that we align with, and then it all just reinforces. So look into the mirror also includes, take a look at what things it is that formulate your perspective. It's largely our friends and the groups of people that we align with through media or what have you. And that's what we can do about it. Is that responsive, Scotty?
Sure.
Okay, a couple of things before we close. One thing that really bothers me is if you watch these things and they're interesting, like history, mystery we've talked about, or ancient aliens or different things like that. And they talk about, is it the aliens from outer space that came here and built the pyramids or what have you? And we have to understand, and it's in the Veda, it's in the Vedic literature, just read the Ramayana, read the Mahabharata, there were ancient cultures that had flying machines, that had what we call UFOs, that had all these profound technologies. And so it's not that they came from other planets, they were here. They were human beings. Now, I'm not saying there aren't other entities out there that have knowledge and technologies and wisdom. And have we interacted with them in the past? Of course, but it's not just that these stupid human beings were here and then ETs came along and taught them everything. In some cases, that's true. But in other cases, it's not. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense what he said. Okay, one more thing. And I think this is such a beautiful thing. And I share it with people from time to time. It usually doesn't seem to land, But to me, it's just fascinating and incredible. And that is, trees are composed mostly of carbon. And these mighty oak trees, these huge trees, solid, dense, and they're made mostly of carbon. Where did all that carbon come from? And I think most people would say, well, it came from the roots. It sucked it up out of the soil and became the tree. And really, I think it's a fascinating thing that most of the carbon comes from the air, carbon dioxide. And so trees are composed largely out of air. I just think it's a beautiful thing. Okay, Scotty, if there's nothing else.
All right.
We're good to go. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I appreciate you listening. And we'll talk again next week.